I had a conversation with two guys who are starting a podcast for business owners, and they invited me to come on through a mutual friend, and I was having a conversation with them. One of the guys, we were just kind of learning a little bit about one another, our work, and one of the guys had asked me, "What do you sell?" And before I even jumped in, he had said, not from a product perspective, but from an emotional perspective. And I love that question because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We get so focused on the product, right? The approaches, the processes, the training, the resources, the tools, the all the little things. But at the end of the day, it's the emotion that exists. What happens when all those things are in play? And when he asked me that, I actually was able to answer really fast. And the two things that came to mind for me were freedom and safety. The other piece, as I reflected a little bit more, was empowerment as well. And right, what I think from Come Home and the work that I'm trying to do with Come Home and partnering with schools is, sure, we're giving them the training and the resources and the assessments and the curriculum support and the coaching and mentoring and the AI assistance. We're giving them all those things, but ultimately, what is that setting up for people to experience? And what I believe, and I know to be true through my own experience as a school leader, as well as being in the classroom, is when those things exist, and those skills around emotional intelligence, and that being the foundation of it, freedom, safety, and empowerment exist. The freedom to be authentically you, the safety to know that you're cared for, you're not judged, you have people who truly care about you as a human, and empowerment, empowered to push your limits, empowered to take risks, empowered to grow and dream and develop into whoever you want to be, with the right tools and resources to get you there. And I think about that. What if every student, every educator, every leader, every family, every community member who interacted with public schools in your school building, in your school district, constantly experienced freedom, safety, and empowerment? What would happen on the other side of those things? Right? That's ultimately what we sell. We sell feeling those things. We sell creating environments to make you experience freedom, safety, and empowerment. Because when those three things are unlocked, you're so confident in who you are, you feel like you belong, and you feel like you have the right team and people around you. And man, you're going to lean in and you're going to go for everything that you want to do in life. And you'll have all of the resources and skills to do that. So that was such a great question, and I wanted to just share that with you. Talking with someone last week, and we were talking about building Come Home and being entrepreneurs and different things like that. And something I was reflecting on is, when I think about my career and I think about the work that I do, I think about myself as an educator. That's kind of where my heart's always been, and that's how I see myself. Oftentimes, I don't see myself in the lens of an entrepreneur or a founder, even though at this stage I am with building Come Home. But for me, it was never this idea that I wanted to have my own business, or I wanted to work for myself, or I wanted to do this. It all was a buildup of different experiences that I had where I consistently started to notice gaps. And that even happened early in my career too. I've always been someone who has shown up to done the work or the position or whatever it is, and then notices all these different themes and gaps and different things like that, and thinks about how can we pivot, how can I adjust, how can we take this information and build upon it. And that was the exact same thing that snowballed into building Come Home, was having all of those experiences within education, being looped into different trainings and developments and work related to the work I'm passionate about within education, and then realizing there continuously are gaps. And so how do we address those gaps? It was never this thought of, oh, I want to be a founder one day, or I want to have my own organization one day. No, if you told me 5-6 years ago that would be the case, I probably would be like, no shot. I don't know anything about that. But really letting the passion, the work, and the gaps that I notice continue to drive the work that I do. And that's the same thing even now within Come Home. So much of how I'm structuring Come Home, the work that Come Home is doing, is being really tailored and positioned and pivoted by the experiences and the feedback and the gaps that I continue to notice. And so that's always kind of the focal point. It's never about this is the thing, or it's the end game, right? The end game for me as an educator, and the end game in the work that I do is, how do we create an educational system where there's no barriers to entry? And how do we evolve the role of education, and how educators educate, and how students learn? Like, that's it. Can we redesign and reshape what education actually looks like through the lens of emotional intelligence? And that's it. All the rest of it is driven by experiences, driven by feedback, driven by themes. And that's something that I feel like becomes very authentic to me and to Come Home, because we're not forcing a certain direction. We're putting ourselves in this position, and I'm putting Come Home in a position where we gain experience, we step back and evaluate and pivot. We gain experience, we step back, evaluate and pivot, and we keep letting that adjust and refine. And I feel like there's so much learning that comes in that, and so much positioning us to really address those gaps. I can't always predict what's going to happen. And so something that I really believe in, is something I was talking about with these people, were, can we get experiences? Can we put ourselves in it? Can we be passionate about it? Take all the information and start to continue to refine it so that we're able to address the gap. And that's essentially what it is. Putting all these opportunities and experiences out there for myself, for Come Home, to continuously figure out ways to best support the gap. And that's creating that sort of educational experience, and equipping the teachers, and making sure students are college and career ready,